Okay, everybody. So today's notes are going to be on dividing rational numbers. So we're going to be dividing fractions and we're going to be dividing decimals. All right, the other day we did multiplying fractions and we basically had the same steps for multiplying. For multiplying, you did step 1, then you multiplied for 3 and 4, you simplified, and then you used the rules. Same signs positive, different signs negative. The only thing that's different for dividing fractions is we have to do something that says you keep the first number the same, you change division to multiplication, and you flip the second fraction. Most of you have heard the phrase before because this isn't the first time you've divided fractions, is keep it, change it, flip it. Keep, change, flip. Okay? So there's a little song that goes along with it, and it goes, it goes, to divide, oh, to divide, keep, change, flip, then multiply. Again, to divide, oh, to divide, keep, change, flip, then multiply. So we're going to go through and we're going to do these problems, and these are actually the exact same problems that were for multiplying fractions the other day, except we're dividing them. So you're going to start off and you're going to say, keep, change to multiplication, and flip. Again, if you can simplify ahead of time, that makes things so much easier. You could divide 2 divided by 2 is 1, 6 divided by 2 is 3, and then multiply. Or you can just multiply across, so it's going to be negative 16 over 18. You can look at your factor sheet, look at 16, look at 18, look at the greatest common factor. You're going to divide them both by 2, because that's the greatest common factor. And we get negative 8/9. All right, let's look at the one below it. We have to change them both into fractions first. Okay, so any mixed numbers we have to change to improper fractions. So we have negative 5 over 6 divided by 9 over 5. So we first have to change things into 2 fractions. Now, keep, change, flip. Positive times a negative here, or negative times a positive, is going to be negative, so it's going to be negative 25 over 54. There is nothing we can divide out of those, so that's our final answer. Up here, let's change them both into improper fractions. Still division, because all we're doing is changing them to improper fractions. Keep, change, flip. A negative times a negative is going to be a positive. So we're just going to get 15 over 8. Now we know we can never leave a fraction with the top number that's bigger than the bottom. So 8 goes into this one time with 7 left over. And that's our final answer. And for this particular one, we get negative 7 over 4 divided by negative 6 over 1. Again, all we've done is change them into fractions first. Now, keep, change, flip. Again, a negative times a negative is going to be a positive, and we get 7 over 24. And that's actually all we can do. That does not go into lowest terms. And so that's it on the front. Okay. These 4. We're going to keep, let's change these first into fractions. Okay, we put a 1 underneath. Keep, change, flip. Negative times a negative is a positive. 8 times 3 is 24. 1 times 1 is 1, and any number divided by 1 is just itself, so it's 24. Next one, change them to fractions first. Now, keep, change, flip. These are both positive, so the answer is going to be positive. 25 goes into this one time, because it's 1 and 11 25ths. Okay, let's change these into fractions first. So 19 over 9 divided by 4 over 1. We're going to do keep, change, flip. So we're going to get 19 over 36. And actually, that's in lowest terms because 19 is a prime number. If you look on the factor sheet, there's only 1 and 19, and that's it. And then the last one, we're going to do, this is already 2 fractions, so we're going to do keep, change, flip. Positive times a negative is going to be negative. Now remember what we talked about for big ideas for multiplying. If you see a 7 and a 7, they cancel out. Technically they cancel out, but we are technically left with a 1 because 7 divided by 7 is 1. The 8's cancel out. And basically we're just left with negative 1 because 1 times 1 is 1, 1 times 1 is 1, 1 divided by 1 is 1. So we're left with negative 1. So just as a quick summary then, same steps. Everything that's in blue here is what we did for multiplying. We just have this extra step after we changed that we have to do keep, change, flip. Keep, change, flip. KCF. Keep it, change it, flip it. 2 divide, oh, 2 divide. Keep, change, flip, then multiply. All right. Now we're going to do a little work with dividing decimals. All right, when we're dividing, okay, it has the steps up here. If we were to look, this number right here, let me just put it up here. If I had 10 divided by 5, this right here is the dividend, and I know these are vocabulary words from elementary. This is the divisor, kind of like the one that's doing the dividing, okay? And same with if you had 10 over 5 like this. This is the dividend, and this here is the divisor. And the answer, again, to division is the quotient. Okay, so that equals 2. That's the quotient, which equals 2, which is the quotient. So if the divisor is not a whole number, then you need to move the decimal point to the right, which we'll do in a moment, and then we're going to divide. So let's just jump right into this, and we'll start working through this, okay? 5 goes into this number. 5 goes into 34.75. The important part about dividing is that if you're dividing with decimals, that decimal point goes straight up. Now, 5 does not divide into 3. 5 does divide into 34 6 times. 6 times 5 is 30. We subtract, we bring down. 5 divides into 47 9 times, which is 45. We subtract, we bring down. 5 goes into 25 5 times. 5 times 5 is 25. And we're done. 6.95. Over here, 4 divides into 16.24. All right, bring that decimal point straight up. The divisor is a whole number. There's no decimal points. We don't have to move anything over. 4 goes into 16 4 times. 4 times 4 is 16. Bring down the 2. 4 does not go into 2, so we put a 0. 0, 2, bring down the 4. 4 goes into 24 6 times. 6 times 4 is 24. We get 0, so we're done. 4.06. And these are all positive, so our answer is going to be positive. All right, the next one, 9 into 42.4. Bring the decimal point straight up. 9 does not go into 4, but it does go into 42. Not 5, that's 45. That's too much, so it's going to be 4. 4 times 9 is 36. We subtract, we borrow. We get 6.4. Oh, sorry, ignore the decimal point there. 9 goes into 64 6 times, 7 times. I don't know why that's not clear. Sorry, I can't see that. There we go. Maybe? There we go. So 9 goes into that 7 times. 7 times 9 is 63, which is a 1. Now when we get to this point and we don't have a 0, we have to add some zeros on. 9 goes into 10 one time. 9 times 10 is 9. Subtract, we get 1. Let's put a 0. And what you're going to find happening, 9 goes into 11 once. 9, we're going to subtract 2. This is kind of a very long decimal. We're going to put in another 0. This is going to be 0. This is going to be 2, which is 18, which is going to be a 2. So at this point, every time when we keep putting the zeros in, we're going to keep getting 2. So this, we're going to put a line up here. So 4.7112 with the line over it, because you're just going to keep getting 20, which is 2, 18, subtract 2. So this 2 is just going to keep repeating. All right, now this one, 11 divides into 0.83. That decimal point goes straight up. 11 does not go into 8, but 11 does go into 83 7 times. 7 times 11 is 77, so we're going to subtract and get 6. Then again, we put the 0, bring it down. 11 goes into 65 times, which is 55. We're going to get a 5, bring the 0 down. That goes in 4 times, which is 44, which is we're going to get a 6 again. So look at it, it's going to start repeating. 6, so that goes in 5 times. That's 55. We're going to get a 4, put the 0, bring it down. That's going to go in, whoops, it's a 5. That's going to go in 4 times. So you're going to see that this is going to be repeating. So we're going to put a line over the 5 and the 4. So it's 0.075454545454. So we're just going to put a line there to show that it repeats. Okay, the last on the back is probably the most important part of dividing by hand. We don't do too much dividing by hand. And we're going to learn on Friday how to do some dividing with a calculator. But for now, we're going to do some division by just dividing here. So these are all going to be like this. 9 into 4 with the decimal point. 7 into 5 with the decimal point. 13 into 12 with the decimal point. 3 into 8 with the decimal point. And I want you to draw your attention up here. This says round to the nearest hundredth. So we're not going to keep repeating. We're going to stop at some point. All right, so we bring our decimal points up for all of these. Okay, let's do this one. Maybe this might be the easiest. 3 goes into 8 once, which is a 3. We bring that down. We have a 5. We bring down, oops, sorry, that goes in 2 times, which should be 6, which would be 2. Bring down the 0. That goes in 6 times, which is 18. We're going to get a 2, so we're going to put the 0, bring another one down. That's going to go in 6 times. You can see what's going to start happening here. 18, we're going to get a 2. It's going to keep repeating. So technically, this is 2.66 with the 6 repeating. Or you could just say 2.6 repeating. Okay. All right, 13 does not go into 12, but it does go into 120. Not 10 times, because that would be 130. So let's do 13 times 9, which is 27, 9, 10, 11. That's 117. So that goes in 9 times. 9 times 13 is 117. We get a 3. We put a 0, bring it down. 13 goes into this 2 times. And again, instead of multiplying out like this, you have your multiplication chart to help support you. This is a 4. Put the 0, bring it down. That goes in 3 times. But here's the deal. This is going to keep going. But up here we said to the nearest hundredth. So tenths, hundredths. So we're going to actually cross this off, and we're just going to round it to the nearest hundredth. 0.92. Okay. This one right here, 9 goes into this 4 times, which is 36. And what's going to happen here, look at already, it's just going to keep repeating. I'm going to keep getting 4s. So this is actually 0.4 repeating. So some of these are very quick and very short. You can see it's repeating. 7 goes into 50, not 5, but 57 times. We get 49, which is 1. Bring down the 0. Goes in 1 time. 3. Bring down the 0. Goes in 4 times. But again, we could keep going. But this is just asking us to round to the nearest hundredth. So if I have hundredths place, that's 2 places. This is the tenths. This is the hundredths. So 2 places. So right here is where we're going to stop. So we're going to say 0.71. All right, so we're going to work a little bit more with this on Friday, too. And we're going to do making sure we know how to do this by calculator and doing a little bit more by hand. And that's dividing fractions and decimals.